So much going on. So today, we're going to decode that overwhelming funding environment and really transform it into a clear, actionable strategic playbook. We're stepping away from all the chaos and building a direct, logical path to help you scale your vision. To do that, here is our roadmap. We'll start by tackling the wall of noise, then define the actual startup tools at your disposal. After that, we'll build your decision-making framework, navigate the unique 2026 landscape, unpack the founder's strategic playbook, and finally, wrap up with your immediate action plan. So let's kick things off with Section 1, the wall of noise. Before we even think about building a strategy, we need to validate exactly how you're probably feeling right now trying to get your company off the ground. It's just a wall of noise. I mean, when you're constantly hearing about accelerators, incubators, government grants, angel networks, and venture studios, it usually leaves founders feeling completely blasted. It's honestly the default feeling in the startup world today. So if you feel like you're just staring at endless disconnected options without a map, you are definitely not alone. But, we can't just stay stuck in that confusion. Our whole goal in this explainer is to cut straight through that noise and replace it with a focused, highly effective strategy. Success today means knowing exactly how to pick the right resource for the specific stage your company is at, and more importantly, understanding how to actually leverage it for tangible growth. Moving right along to Section 2, defining the startup tools. Okay, before you choose a path, you absolutely must understand what the vehicles actually are. Let's look at the classic difference between an accelerator and an incubator. Think of an accelerator as a fast-paced boot camp. It's usually 3 or 4 months designed purely for speed and scaling an idea that already exists, usually ending in a big pitch day. On the flip side, an incubator is a much slower, more open-ended environment. It's really focused on hatching an idea from scratch. They serve entirely different stages of your startup's lifecycle. The crucial thing here is understanding the distinct trade-offs of each tool. Accelerators give you seed capital and a great network, but they're going to demand around 3 to 8% of your equity. Incubators might just charge you fees without taking a slice of your company. Venture studios, they'll actually embed their own engineers and marketers right into your team, but in exchange, they're taking a much larger equity stake. And then, of course, you have grants. These are the magic words, non-dilutive funding. You get the capital to support your R&D, and you keep 100% of your ownership. Knowing exactly what you're sacrificing for growth is the absolute foundation of your strategy. But hey, never underestimate the human element in all of this. Did you know mentored founders actually achieve 3 times better outcomes? It's wild. Investor networks and accelerators provide what we call smart capital. It's not just a check, it's their expert advice, their massive Rolodex of connections, and their credibility transferring directly to you. Honestly, this is often the most valuable part of the entire exchange. All right, on to Section 3, the decision-making framework. I want you to actively play along with this thought experiment right now. Think about your startup today. What is your single undeniable need? Is it just raw cash to keep the lights on and survive? Is it expert guidance because you're totally stuck on product development? Or is it the network you need to reach those crucial first major customers? You really have to identify that one critical bottleneck, because your answer dictates your path entirely. This is the priority matrix. Every single day, you are weighing capital, network, and mentorship against your willingness to part with your equity. If expert guidance is your absolute top priority, then trading a little equity for a top-tier accelerator makes total sense. But if you fiercely need to protect your equity and simply need cash to fund some heavy research, well, you should be hunting exclusively for non-dilutive government grants. Your number one need dictates the tool. And remember, actually, scratch that. It's crucial to remember. This answer might completely change in 6 months. That brings us to Section 4, navigating the 2026 landscape. 60%. Let that sink in. A staggering 60% of Y Combinator companies this year are expected to be AI-focused. This single statistic is a massive flashing sign showing exactly where the gravity of the market is pulling right now. We are seeing these major specialized accelerators popping up exclusively to fund and support AI companies. So what does this mean for you? Well, because the generalist programs are leaning so heavily into AI, you must be incredibly targeted. If you're an AI founder, you're looking at places like Excel and Google Atoms. But if you aren't building the next big AI model, you need vertical-specific programs. If you're in health, look at Halcyon. If you're specifically in mental health, look at SeedSpot. You have to find those niche programs that are explicitly searching for your exact type of solution. Okay, let's level up with Section 5, the Founder's Strategic Playbook. This is where it gets really fun. It's fascinating how we can elevate those foundational choices into pro-level advanced tactics. You can dramatically extend your runway using what we call the stacking strategy. Basically, you don't just pick one route. You pair an equity-based accelerator, which gets you the network and that vital seed money, with massive, non-dilutive resources. For example, imagine securing $150,000 in Azure and OpenAI credits from Microsoft, and then stacking that with $200,000 in cloud credits from Google. You're literally stacking these resources to artificially inflate your runway without giving up a single extra percentage of your company. It's brilliant. And that brings us to an incredible pro move, all about timing. If you time your VC pitch right after announcing a major grant win, let's say something like the Braze Tech for an Equitable Future grant, you are leveraging that external stamp of approval. Think about it. A major grant tells venture capitalists that a serious, rigorous organization has already vetted your idea and put money behind it. You walk into that pitch room with massive leverage to negotiate a vastly superior valuation. Now, we've got to talk about the traps where this playbook can go completely wrong. Fatal flaw number 1. Chasing the brand name. Please beware of chasing a shiny logo just to slap it on your startup's website. You have to verify if the program actually offers structural support for your specific industry. We see founders get in, give up a chunk of equity, and then just suffer through incredibly generic mentorship and terrible post-program support. Don't let vanity drive your strategy. And then there is fatal flaw number 2, the grant timeline trap. Look, government and foundational money moves at a snail's pace. It just does. Don't let slow grant payouts kill your startup because the cash finally arrives 3 months after you've emptied your bank account. The solution here is to build a blended capital stack. Mix in venture debt or revenue-based financing to bridge that cash gap and keep the lights on while you wait. Simply hoping the check arrives in time is not a funding strategy. A blended capital stack is. Finally, let's bring it all home with Section 6, your immediate action plan. Let's wrap up this explainer by giving you some hyper-specific marching orders. I really want you to follow these 3 precise steps to stop endlessly reading blog posts and start taking strategic control of your future. Step 1, open a doc and be brutally honest with yourself. Write down your number 1 undeniable need for the next quarter. Step 2, based entirely on that need, create a custom shortlist of just 3 to 5 laser-focused programs. And step 3, reach out to an alumnus. And I'm telling you, step 3 is literally the ultimate cheat code. Reach out directly to program alumni to hear about their actual experience. Send a quick DM, ask for just 15 minutes of their time. This is exactly how you bypass the polished marketing copy and get the absolute unvarnished truth. Ask them bluntly, did the program actually help you raise your next round? Was the mentorship real or was it just fluff? So I want to leave you with this final critical thought. Which specific tool are you going to leverage today to cut through the noise and scale your vision? Armed with this matrix and this playbook, what is the single most important move you will make right now to transform your startup's trajectory? Don't let the ecosystem overwhelm you. Choose your tool, make your move, and go build something amazing.
That's a great idea. Go build something amazing. Welcome to Startup Founder Best Practices. Glad you're here. Glad to be here tonight. Just coming from an event called Black and White with my wife Robin and another friend, David Dillerman, was the speakers at. So it was getting a little heated before I left. So I left in a good time. So it was kind of cute. So I hope your week has been great. And hope you've been learning a lot in a lot of different ways, just about your business startup or your idea or your work. Just it's all about this continuous learning, continuous innovation stuff. So that's why we're here most for the past 6 years. I guess I would say working with founders, both startup founders, nonprofits, you name it. We're here to support everybody, to kind of help them help you move forward. And we learn and we share what we learn, and so that's it's all about growing. So, startup founder best practices. Let's see what we're going to cover here tonight and share my screen real quick. Yes. So, one of the founders reached out to me. They were doing some demand validation, and the term demand validation sounds kind of weird. I was sitting next to a guy just a few minutes ago that has a business, and I asked him, when he hears the term demand validation, what is he thinking about? And so these past 6 years in working in, with founders and on the Lean Stack program, I think we got started with it about 5 years ago, and um, uh, you know, and so it's something I've been using, I guess, the Lean Canvas and stuff since the 2013 or 14 is when I first heard about it. But Ash Moria with the leanstack.com, uh, he wrote the book Running Lean, and once you get your business model designed, then you start doing demand validation. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means. But what I found uh, with working with the startup founders here over the past 6 years, uh, they, I, maybe I, I, I think there's some misunderstanding what it means. So, like uh, startup demand validation, it literally is not it's not have an idea that somebody's going to buy your product or service. It's knowing somebody's going to buy your product or service based on evidence. And and so it's one of the most it is the most important thing you do, because it's the foundation of all your marketing, your web pages, your email campaigns, your sales funnel. That's what demand validation is all about, trying to get those repeatable sales. And so, but like I said, I think the term is just not a term people are used to hearing about. And so I was doing a little prompting about that today. And of course, since I've talked about all things startup, so of course, ChatGPT, Claude knows all about what I'm interested in as it relates to that. And um, so one of the things I do is in leveraging AI is I use a Gemini notebooks, formerly Notebook LM. But literally, the only reason I use it is it's just to reflect things back to me. But there's a million ways that people use it. But so I just use it to help me learn faster. So in a startup world, you wanna learn fast. And one of the things that we did starting about 3 years ago was doing this prompting about business modeling, uh, prompting, and then a couple of years ago we started doing the prompting to also include demand validation, and last year we started doing it for prompting, and so today I'm going to so these prompts are like are like simulations. That's what you see here. This is simulations to evidence. This learning loop. And so I have a methodology that I use for learning new information, and and so the our business model design, demand validation prompt, and marketing strategy. It takes you through the whole lean stack framework. So it literally simulates your business idea, you know, all the parts of building or expanding your business. And so, and that's what this long crazy diagram is it's a workflow that I keep improving all the time, but we'll talk more detail about that. And so, yeah, because it's important, and so in my experiences, being involved with several hundred founders over the past 6 years, uh, they seem to want to skip this demand validation, and so that's why I started kind of emphasizing it more and trying to help people understand it a little bit more, because everybody wants repeatable sales. Everybody wants to be able to predict their their income and understand their growth rate of their business, and that's the kind of stuff demand validation brings to you. Like, if you heard of a sales funnel, you do marketing or whatever to get people and to come take a look at your product or service, or you do all these things to get people in your sales funnel. But in order to, and that's like the beginning of like a customer factory. And so what happens is, um, you want to monitor this process, and ultimately it ends up being a CRM, but you have to do it manually first. And so that's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about today. So indulge with me. We talked about it a lot in the past. We talked about all the AI stuff in the past, but we're going to dive a little deeper today. So again, as always, we're thankful for all the folks that have supported us in the past, and the folks that are still supporting us. Just got an email. When was it? I think yesterday or the day before, from Black Innovation Alliance, and so they got a program called Source Codes, and so hopefully within a week or so I'll be rolling that out to you all. It's just another tool that you can use to help you grow your business and help you understand which stage you're in, and so on and so forth, and give you some more tools to move forward. Like in that organization, there's probably a couple of hundred members, and all these organizations are members. They're working with Black founders, trying to help Black founders grow their business. But they all do it differently. My approach was not to reinvent the wheel, use to leverage well-established programs and share those with people, but that, which raises another problem. Some of these programs use terms that some Black founders are not familiar with, and so that's why I try to use AI to kind of help folks understand, because you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to learn a framework to control the growth of your business, and so it's just a lot of things to learn all at once, and I call it brain fog. But all these organizations have played significant role in our progress, and so I just want to acknowledge them, and these are some of our funders as well. We also have a lot of in-kind funders that are not shown here, but we definitely really appreciate the support. And for all those folks that are confused out there, we work with all founders, but some of our funders in the past wanted us to support Black founders, so we targeted Black founders. And I know there was some gap in the way the ecosystem worked when it came to Black founders. So we've just been trying to fill some of those gaps. And so, yeah, so that's what that's all about. And we, I just want to make sure our founders have access to information, and access to how to use the tools. So Lean Stack, for example, is a bunch of tools. Most people, when they hear the Lean Canvas, they only think of the Lean Canvas, but Lean Stack is got all kinds of tools for that you can exercise, stress test your lean canvases, your different versions of your lean canvases. You can um, do demand validation. I mean, it just takes you through the whole process. And so that's what I like about it, because my whole career was based on processes, following well internationally known processes, and methods. And and so when you're trying to grow a business, there is an entrepreneur method that you can use and embrace to kind of understand where you are and where you're going. And so that's important. So I'll let's see what I want to do next. What I'll do is I'll walk through a slide presentation uh, uh, here that relates to our topic tonight. Let me share my screen. Let's see, get, get in the right viewing mode here. And so this is fresh off the press. Um, it's, titled Earn. So this is one way the AI explains demand validation. You have to earn the right to build it. So with all this AI stuff now, you can build it, but the demand validation is literally proving that there's a demand for your product or service before you go out and build anything and make money. I know a lot of other programs, want you to build stuff and throw it against the wall to see if it's stick, and you can do that. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But if you're out there spending money and you doing it on hunches and not evidence, uh, yeah, and you got the money to do it, fine. But if you don't have the money to do it, this is what I'm trying to share with you tonight. And so, as I was putting all this stuff together, I wanted to include. I said, well, where does my 27 step business model design, demand validation, and marketing strategy prompt come into this whole thing? And literally, um, I treat it like a simulation, because if you don't understand the method, the lean stack method or the entrepreneur method, and you're trying to build a startup, that's that's a lot of things to try to learn at the same time. So my idea was, if I can show you what the whole process looks like with your own business idea and the industry you're in, you could start to understand it a little, the process a little faster. So when I say we have a business idea and industry prompt, it's literally just to show you all the processes and steps to build, to turn that into an actual business. And so that's what we're talking about here. So the uh, so we're using this simulation to kind of get an idea and understand, reflect our idea back to us. But then we're going to evolve into getting the actual evidence. But so just bear with me as we go through this approach. So this particular chart is showing about this idea and the danger of premature um, building. And so uh, everybody, including myself, we want to go out and actually build uh, whatever our idea is, or we think we need money to build it before we can kind of go forward. But we the AI is always going to reflect back to you what it thinks you want to hear. So, but you have to get rid of your innovators bias and moving forward. So, you're doing the business modeling, proving that stuff out, and you doing you're doing your demand validation and getting your sales funnels, and you're kind of tracking what's going on. But so we'll keep moving forward here. Screen. Okay. So here's how AI fits into the picture. Um, so the AI, we use an AI to help you predict what's going to happen, but uh, the customers doing the demand validation, it actually reveals what's going to happen. And you all heard me talk about the these personalized Lanika prompts. It helps adjudicates stuff. So, and just so don't get confused. So what I have been advising all the founders to develop your own personalized Lanika prompt, and I gave you the prompt to do it. And so if you're out there and you don't have that, you can um, join our program at apply.kakuainstitute.org. Kakuainstitute.org, but just put apply.kakuainstitute.org in front of it. So, and these are just tools that we make available for you. But today, I'm going to show you how we use that with Gemini notebooks, formerly Notebook LM, and so to kind of help you with that. So like for example, so Ash went from the lean stack to the lean spark thing, which is totally AI, and and so what I'm doing here is just adding a simulation step in front of it just to help you understand some of the terms and the processes that you go through. So like as I'm going here, what I want you all to do is feel free to ask questions because I can sit here and talk forever, and I just realized I was on uh, full screen, and so I just need to get just in case you do have a comment or question. So just put it in the chat, and I'll be glad to ask. And it's the neat thing. It's one thing I will tell you: if you ask question, you will learn faster. And just for an example, I started two new interns this week, one in South Florida and one in St. Louis, and they're fresh out of getting their certifications and now they have to do an 8 week uh, um, project to show that they learned about the cloud and the cloud certification, AWS, another one in cybersecurity. But these are folks that don't have any experience in either of these fields, and so I have to come up with these project charters for them that have all the guardrails in place for them, have all the knowledge that they need to learn, what they need to do each week, and then so I have the AI go out and research all that stuff, and then we put it in Gemini Notebook. So Gemini Notebook knows everything they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. So if they got any questions, they can ask the notebook, and then but the founder has to decide. So that's these kind of levels of governance you go through. So the AI is going to simulate the work, but you have to still go out and prove that the simulation or see how close you come to what the simulation said things should be. Okay, so the core rule, simulation versus evidence. Um, so this first thing you see in here, it says that hypothesize customer forces, hypothesize the five P matrix, which is super solution design, drafts a sales pitch, which we call marketing offer, and sizing the market. So that prompt does all that. So I call it a simulation. And so people in the business world they do predictions. In the engineering world, we do simulations, and so that's what the deal is. So 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 when you look at this side of the chart with this AI thing, this is the customer forces that, I'll explain what that is and show you a video about that. But so when a potential customer uh, is using some software or some service or product. They're trying to do a job, and now you're going to come along with your new product or service, and you want them to switch. So the customer forces are all about what that customer goes through in order to switch from what they're using to what you want to sell. But the 5P matrix, that's how you have to package your solution in order to get them to buy it. But you use the information from the customer forces in order to do this 5P matrix. And then you take this stuff from your solution, and then that's how you understand how to do your sales pitch. And so that's what's so significant about it. But so that's simulation. And then the reality over here, you literally have to observe this customer switching behavior, and you have to understand his switching behavior, because if you don't, you can't come up with your sales pitch. And so, and all these things are evidence. All these things over here are estimates or simulation. So that's what all this thing is trying to show here. So you want to you want to kind of understand stuff through simulation, but you don't want to revert that as if it's evidence. So that's what the idea is there. One of these days, I'll learn how to change slides on a on a, on a thing here. But why don't you want to move here? Let's see. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Excuse me, you all. Let me see. Can I get this thing working right here? Okay. There you go. Like it's taking an act of God here. Yeah. So this particular chart is just showing you the steps through this idea of a staircase. So at the beginning, you generate your hypothesis. That's like when you fill out a lean canvas, or you're doing your business model. Uh, then you're doing all the research, um, and so it's going to provide you some predicted answers to all the things you need to do. But um, that's just the first level. It's not really evidence. And so what you're trying to do to get to the point where everything is validated, they're paying the price you have. And so that's how you just go up this ladder from zero down here, where it's just an idea you have, and then you do research, then you kind of get more evidence, and then you have to go out and actually deal with people to actually get the evidence here. Okay, that's what that's all about. And then this is just a whole cycle that you actually go through here. So um, and so if you're interested in um, leveraging this particular process, um, definitely reach out, and we can get you started on it. Okay, and so it's got three engines in it. That's what this thing. It's got a simulation engine. It's got a tutor in it, and it's got the thing that shows you the difference between uh, you and reality. So that's the way it's set up. Um, so you go in with your business idea, and so you run this prompt um, that takes you through all this whole lean stack business simulation framework. But what I do is I run this prompt in the deep research mode, and I take the same prompt, I run it in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, Aisha, or whatever, and because I know each one of those different large language models have um, always have a different spin on it. They're digging from the same information, but they all have their own personalities, and so they go through this whole. Each one of them goes through this whole process, and then after that, I literally analyze all each report with um, my personalized Lanika prompt. And so it goes in and looks at all the results and understand which one are are um, are just hearsay or marketing stuff, which ones are actually evidence or actual documented um, stuff that's out there uh, to understand. And so it does all the business modeling, and then it comes in and does all the demand validation stuff here. But you still see you only getting up to this level of, of one, uh, in the assimilation of demand validation. So, so that's what that's all about. So you're the founder, and and you're trying to leverage AI as a co-pilot to kind of help you get through this thing. And so, but you want to protect your cognitive participation principle, and so that's the whole thing. You don't want AI to do the work. You want AI to help you think and reflect the information back to you, so you can understand, so you can decide on whatever. That's what's going on here. And so what's interesting is when you do the simulation, so you got all the results of that, and then you go out and start interacting with potential customers, and then you take those results, you put that in a notebook, and now the you starting to validate the stuff that the AI did, and learning what the delta is. And so when I worked for the Air Force Research Lab, we did modeling and simulation. So the modeling in this case is like a business model. The simulation is exercising the business model to see how it actually works. Does it really help you get to that goal, that $1 million annual recurring revenue in 3 years, or 10 million in annual recurring revenue? That's what the model is. You have to model it. It's in order to do that. Okay, and so here's the process of demand validation. Um, so I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit, just to kind of make sure people understand it. So in demand validation, the first thing you're trying to do is you're doing problem discovery, and that may sound strange, but you want to make sure that you're solving the correct problem. You in your business model, you got problems identified, but you until you actually interact with potential customers, you don't know 1,000% if that's customer. So, but some founders work in the field, and they know. But one lesson I will always let you know, the like, for example, we're going to talk about Notebook LM. I use Notebook LM, different than maybe, um, there are a million use cases for Notebook LM and a Gemini notebook, and that's the way it is almost for any product. There's so you're going out and interviewing these people who recently purchased something similar to what you're selling or building, and you want to interview people that just recently made the switch in the last 90 days. So because everything is fresh on their mind, what products they looked at, which one they chose, what triggered them to switch. So in broad match discovery, there's 9 questions that you tailor that's going to generate these customer forces, the jobs to be done, et cetera, et cetera. And that's so important, because that's the same information that you're going to use to grow your business, to do your marketing campaign. And so you do a broad match over a couple of weeks, and you do narrow match things, and you literally just trying to find what jobs are people trying to do with the software or product or service that's similar to yours. And and so from those 9 questions, you can use AI to generate you upload those 45 to 60-minute interviews, at least 30, but 30-minute interviews. You upload that to AI and let it generate the customer forces stories and the jobs to be done stories and the hiring and firing criteria. So all that information is going to go into your solution design and into your offer when you go out trying to sell your product to see if that offer converts. If it doesn't convert, you have to go back to the problem discovery interviews, the broad match and narrow match problem discovery interviews. And that's what this is. And you literally trying to find the customer segment that you can get the most traction with. And you have to get a commitment from them. You can't get a promise. It has to be a commitment. So that's what this thing is showing. So this thing's talking about push, pull, friction, and inertia. So if somebody's already using the product and you want them to switch to your product, there there's a lot of things that keeping them from switching. They're satisfied. They may not be satisfied with what they're using, but it still takes a lot of inertia to get them to switch. That's what you're always doing. You're designing your product or service to get them to switch from what they're currently using to what you're using. So yeah, that's what this is all about. Let's see, can we get this thing going again? Okay. So you got to switch from that simulation to the evidence data. So there is a prompt for that so to help you with understanding the delta between what your simulation did and what the actual evidence did. So you see here it's talking about a partial match in the simulation, a match in the simulation and actual evidence, a partial match, contradiction, or surprise, and all that stuff. So that's what's okay. And then if there is a surprise or something gap, then that's when the thing goes back to do this back propagation. Some people may have heard the term back propagation. It's literally going back through the process to go back and regenerate these things here. But the interesting thing is when you're doing this discovery, if there's a big delta, it literally means that there's another customer segment out there that you wasn't aware of, somebody that has a problem. That's why I always tell people, it doesn't matter what your idea or product or service is. If you go through the process and doing these problem discovery interviews, you're going to find out what people are struggling with. And, if it's, and so you can make sure you solving what the problem that people really need solving. And here's the whole workflow of this process. And so so I have the documentation for it. I have the prompts, and if you're in our program, you're welcome. I'll be glad to share it with you. Okay, and yeah. Okay, then here's a founder fit separation rule. AI can simulate desirability, viability, feasibility, but it cannot replace the ultimate decision authority that the founder has to make. And so this, I don't know what's been going on with your AI lately, but my AI is concerned about not the AI doing the work. Want to make sure the founder or the student actually does the work, and the AI helps them learn. So I teach interns and students use AI to help you learn and understand. I teach founders the same thing. You use AI to help you learn and understand. And I was sitting next to a guy at dinner tonight. He was trying to figure out all this stuff about AI. He just thinks he was brought up to think this stuff is cheating. But when I kept explaining all the ways I use it for good, and I say, is that cheating? And so hopefully he's uh, coming around a little bit. So the leveraging AI, you can have an advantage, but uh, there, and you have to do. It's not instant. You have to pay your dues to kind of understand and observe. And so the um, uh, so one of the things that was highlighted for me this week is that AI takes things literally. So, for example, I had a project charter that I had to sign, and the representative from Florida Atlantic University had to sign, but I made the mistake of sticking the unsigned uh, project charter in the AI, and it's stuck because it sees these brackets in there, so it thinks that's required data that has to be in there before. So you got to remember, the AI is going to it's not going to understand how you understand to say somebody just has to fill out that later. It thinks that it should have been filled out, et cetera, et cetera. So just realize that's the difference between a human and the artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence, if if you if it doesn't see something it thinks it needs to see, it's going to think you haven't done it. So what you always have to do, all the source material that you put in a notebook, like for example, uh, there's a form that needs to be filled out as you make progress. So if that updated form is not in your notebook, it's not going to know you already filled out the product. Or if you examine, yeah, so you have to keep the information updated so the AI knows where everything is. But you will learn faster by doing this, and that will be your uh, advantage. Uh, is what the deal is. So okay. Let's see. Maybe. All right. I give up, but that's gives you an idea of what's going on there. Next, I'll show you a video to kind of help kind of bring some of this stuff to life. Any questions out there? I see a comment here. Okay, I apologize. I was on full screen. I didn't see your comment. Okay. How you doing, Barrington? It's been a long time. What if we have a product that allows them to use what they have in tandem with our product? That's a good prompt. So like it's a product that it integrates to another product. Okay. And I'm assuming I'm gonna take this in the context of demand validation. So, um, and that's like, yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around what the question is all about. Okay. Well, I think it's a product is a product is a product. That's what I would say, because you know I can literally tell you most of the products I use them in tandem with other products. And so, what if there's another product out there they can use in tandem with with their product? Now, that's what you got to remember. Uh, and that's the way I'll sort of, and I'm not sure if I have the whole context here, but uh, whenever, no matter, it doesn't matter what product you have, uh, what what matters is what the person is currently using and how you're going to get them to switch. That's what demand validation is about. So it's the idea that that's why you do the desirability test. How bad does a how how big of a problem does the customer have that so your product has got to be so desirable that it's going to take them come over all that friction and inertia to get them to switch. What That's what innovation is. Your product is 3x to 10x better than what another product may do. So I think I'm answering your question right. But if Barrington, if I'm not, you can sort of help clarify that. But just so your product could be unique, it's the only one out there. But the deal is, you still have to get somebody to switch from what they're already doing to what you're doing. That's why you have to understand what jobs they're trying to do with the software. And so that's what people make me think. There's no competition for this product. It's totally new, but you still got to get them to switch from what they're already using, even if they're not using anything. That's what the demand validation is. Literally, you're breaking their old way of doing it and getting them to switch. But all the stuff you learn from doing those problem discovery interviews, it literally um, generates all the information you need to take the person through the process of switching. It's literally sales. So it doesn't care what your product is, because I'm telling you, I've been working with all these founders. They've been making all these great products, but they're literally sitting on the shelf just from the lack of not understanding this demand validation. It sounds good, it is good, but that's not going to cause somebody to switch. You have to take the customer through this journey. Your website, your web page, your advertisement has to take them through this customer forces journey. The hero's journey. That's what it's all about. You're literally getting. That's how you're getting people to switch. Okay. Let's see here. It's going to show you all this video. Barrington, feel free to pop if you needed more clarification, and feel free to reach out, anytime as well. Okay, take a look at this video. I hope it'll do a little bit better job
Welcome
than I
to this
did.
explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the Lenicia Founder Simulation to Evidence Cycle version 1.0. We're going to completely reframe how startup founders interact with AI to uncover actual market truth. Look, right now, AI can spit out a polished 50-page business plan in, 10 seconds? But here's the thing. Only a real, breathing customer can tell you if it's actually worth building. We're living in this wild era where AI can massively accelerate the validation process, but there's a huge catch. AI cannot create demand evidence. It literally can't. Only your customers can do that. So let's unpack exactly how to navigate this totally new landscape.
We really need to start by exposing a massive danger lurking in the modern startup world. Because AI makes building products so incredibly cheap and lightning fast, it's basically wiped out the historical tax of building the wrong thing. And that's a problem, right? Today, AI output can so easily masquerade as validation. It allows founders to confidently build the completely wrong product over a single weekend. So you really have to ask yourself, are you using AI to figure out if customers actually care, or are you just using it to convince yourself your idea is brilliant?
To get out of this trap, we're tracing a very specific roadmap today. We'll hit the AI validation trap, the Lenicia operating cycle, simulating your business model, reality votes from customer evidence, calculating the delta, and finally, the commitment gate.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the AI validation trap, and the danger of manufactured certainty.
This is absolutely crucial because it's the most common failure mode for founders right now. They're using language models to manufacture certainty instead of actually using them to challenge their own biases. Think about it. A gorgeous, totally articulate AI-generated analysis of weak evidence is still just weak evidence. You could have the most flawlessly structured business plan from an LLM, but at the end of the day, that's just an AI simulation. It is not customer validation. Real validation requires observed behavior, switching friction, and actual financial commitment. An AI can totally help you reason through your evidence, sure, but it absolutely cannot climb the evidence ladder for you.
Moving right along into Section 2, the Lanisha operating cycle and the concept of mandatory reasoning.
To actually escape that trap we just talked about, we have to introduce a mandatory reasoning cycle. This is designed specifically to stop AI enthusiasm from hijacking human judgment. It keeps AI incredibly useful but completely strips away its ability to fake human certainty. Now, the core of this whole architecture is the Gemini notebook. This is basically your learning space and your evidence memory. You take your business hypothesis, freeze it, go out into the real world for broad discovery, pull all that messy evidence back into the notebook, and then you calculate the reality delta. It's this beautiful, continuously improving closed loop.
And this recursive formula is literally your engine for learning. It makes sure you systematically step from wild AI speculation all the way to rock-solid customer commitment. First, you simulate the model. Then you freeze your predictions. You test those predictions in reality, you compare the results, you revise your model based strictly on real evidence, and finally, you ask for commitment. It's a highly deliberate progression from assumption straight to absolute truth.
Next up is Section 3, simulating your business model using an adversarial AI partner. Okay, so before you go out and talk to a single human being, you actually do want to use AI, but you use it as an adversarial thinking partner. You start by building a pre-evidence simulation of what your business could look like, but you have to explicitly acknowledge that it's nothing more than a hypothesis. You have the system generate hypotheses for specific customer forces. You've got push, which is their current dissatisfaction. You've got pull, the shiny outcome they want. But then you also have to simulate friction and inertia. Friction is like the massive headache of migrating their data over to your new software. You have to generate these assumptions and physically freeze them in your notebook before any real-world evidence comes into play. If you don't freeze them up front, human nature is going to kick in and you'll just rewrite your predictions later to make it look like you were right all along.
That brings us to Section 4. Reality votes, gathering customer evidence.
Now it's time to step completely out of the simulation and let reality cast its vote. This is where you roll up your sleeves for human-to-human evidence collection, doing both broad and narrow match customer interviews. As you start dumping these interview transcripts into your evidence memory, you have to relentlessly grade the facts using the Lanisha evidence ladder. A totally AI-generated idea, that's state 0. Basic customer statements are state 2. But what we are really hunting for is evidence state 4, which is commitment supported. That means actual money, a deposit, a signed pilot agreement, or a massive chunk of their time. Oh, and there's a super strict governance rule you have to follow here. Having 3 different AI models agree that your idea is genius is not independent market validation. It's just consensus based on training data. That is fundamentally not the same as a real customer handing you a check.
All right, let's look at Section 5, calculating the delta, which is all about simulation versus reality.
Let's see how this actually plays out when we pit that frozen simulation against raw, unfiltered customer transcripts. We have to calculate the delta, the differences between the two. We do this with a delta matrix. You put your original AI simulation on one side, your actual customer evidence on the other, and you classify the result. Did it match? Was it kind of close? Was it a total contradiction, or was it a complete surprise? And here is the golden rule of the linear framework. You do not average away meaningful contradictions. No way. You have to preserve those contradictions because they are incredibly high-value learning assets. If an interview directly contradicts your shiny assumption, pay attention because that friction is exactly where the real business opportunity is hiding.
And that ties right into this absolutely vital principle called backward propagation. When reality inevitably proves your simulation wrong, you have to go back and identify every single affected upstream artifact. We're talking about your lean canvas, your pricing model, your marketing strategy. You log the changes, but here's the kicker. You never, ever silently overwrite the prior version. You have to preserve your original blind spots. Why? Because the historical gap between what you thought would happen and what reality actually revealed is your true learning record.
Finally, Section 6, the final commitment gate. Have you actually earned it?
So here we are at the final adjudication phase. This is where you have to look your own ego in the mirror and decide if you've actually earned the right to build this product. We have to be brutally honest with ourselves. Conversation is not commitment. When a customer says, "Oh wow, that's super interesting, let me know when it's ready," that is not validation. General enthusiasm is not validation. Sticking a massive total addressable market slide into your pitch deck, definitely not validation. Heck, even having a flashy, fully functioning AI prototype is not real market validation.
If you want to pass the commitment gate, you've got to climb the behavioral evidence ladder. You have to drag the customer from casual interest up to intent, into actual commitment, through to payment, and all the way to retention. You really need to ask yourself, where do your prospects sit right now? Are they just politely nodding along, or have they actually opened their wallets? You have to prove that they are willing to put something truly meaningful on the line, whether that's their cash, their proprietary data, or their professional reputation, just to solve their problem with your solution. This brings us to the ultimate rule, the very heartbeat of everything we're exploring today, and it perfectly sums up the entire architecture. AI predicts, customers reveal, Lanisha adjudicates, Gemini remembers, and the founder decides. Think about it like this. AI is your simulation engine. It's great at predicting, but only real human customers can reveal the actual truth. The Lanisha framework acts as the judge, adjudicating the delta between what was predicted and what was revealed. Your Gemini notebook sits there remembering the evidence so you don't lose those hard-fought learnings. But at the end of the day, you, the founder, hold the ultimate decision authority. The AI doesn't authorize a business decision. You do. So I really want to leave you with this one provocative thought. Take a hard, honest look at your own startup workflow right now and ask yourself, what evidence do you actually possess? Are you just using AI to validate a really fun fantasy? Are you using a structured, rigorous simulation to evidence cycle to capture the actual truth? Because at the end of the day, reality is the only thing that truly scales. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Go out there and start demanding real, undeniable evidence from your ideas today.
Righty, any questions on that, anyone? So, so this process, um, it's uh, it's it's a it's a straightforward process, um, but it's an important process, and so let me just I'll walk y'all through this a little bit here. Uh, I don't have actual notebook built up that you could actually see what I'm talking about, but I'll explain it using this particular notebook. This is a notebook that has all the information about what we've been talking about today. So the way our business model design prompt works is you run it in a deep research mode, and you're going to get reports from uh, those reports, and you would pull these reports into the source side over here. But also, you're going to do is in your Chat GPT and all those things, you're going to use your personalized Lanicha prompt to actually do an analysis on those things, because the reports there's that you generate, they have the Lanicha process built in, so it's going to verify the information that's in there, and but uh, but some uh, large language models, they don't do as good a job as others in validating the information before they put it in the report. But the good thing about your personalized Lanicha prompt, it will go in there and actually validate what's there. So you would drag those reports in here to on the sources as well. Okay, now let's say that's what you have over here in these sources. Now you have your Chat GPT report, uh, your Gemini report, your Claude report, your Aisha AISHA. That's a culturally a thing, and it's right now it's free. So in some cases, it actually does really well. You have your Perplexity, LeChat. Um, so so you have all these sources over here. Now you can come over here into this prompt area, and you can run prompts over here, but you can ask it, what are the contradictions in these reports over here? Which you can ask it, which report has the best analysis in it? And so it'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about all those reports. So it's so the thing about Lanicia, it doesn't lie to you. And so once you do that evaluation, it literally tries to do a thorough evaluation of the information. When I say evaluation, it literally goes out on the internet and checks. And so that's how neat that is. Okay, and so you're there's plenty of other things you can do over here for for example. So imagine these reports, they don't run out and research everything about your business idea, to run out and research the industry, they done got all the market information. I mean, they it really went out and did a thorough job on getting information about your business idea. Now, one thing that I did this week was so I had all these research reports, and it was telling me, the good and the bad and the ugly about each one of them. But the neat thing is, since it synthesized them all, it actually knows how to take the best of all of them. So this week I had to take the best of all of them and generate me another report just based on the good parts. It took the good from, so like for example, Aisha, it went out and no, it wasn't Aisha. One of them went out and got a lot of vendor stuff, and I don't remember which one it was. But so you can't trust vendor information, marketing stuff. But it used that to say, well, when you get ready to do your marketing, it can use that as a standard for how to communicate what you have. And the ones that did the best analysis, you can use those parts of the information. So the reports have it investigated all the customer segments. It got to how big the market is for each customer segment. It's got all the like when it does demand validation, it's got the hiring and firing criteria for the hiring and firing criteria. You use that to determine what you need to have in your solution. So the hiring criteria, you have to have that in there too. And in the firing criteria, if you don't have those features in your thing, you're not going to get selected. So it gives you the information that you need to have in the customer forces stuff, the jobs to be done. And yeah, so it's just tremendous. So you got all this information. And so now you have it, you generate videos, you generate slide decks. Like here, you can generate slide decks. And what I love the most is, I'm gonna scroll down here. And so you see these audio files here. It talks about your idea, your thing back to you. And then if you hit the interactive, you can literally have a conversation with your business idea and ask it all kinds of questions, anything. But it knows so much, all this research, it knows so much about your business idea. It knows it literally better than you do, and it can reflect it back to you. But the good news is it can reflect your own thinking back to you, but also it can catch all your blind spots. And so, and like with my interns this week, every question they asked me about their project or what they're doing, I told them to ask the same question in here, and it never failed. It answered the question because it actually has all the information over here. So that's what the deal is. Yeah, there's a lot of things you will learn, but you have to use this stuff. There's a lot of pitfalls here and there, but you have to literally just get in there and use it. Yeah. So, all righty. So it's time to kind of wind down here a little bit. So I'll be glad to answer any last minute questions questions here, and I'll walk you through the thing. So like what I do, I do these things, and I literally, in addition to the video recording, I also get the transcript and analyze the transcripts with my Lenitia prompt. So I'm going to walk you through the demand validation just so you can know, and all those people that went through our program and you didn't go through the demand validation, that's a big mistake. I can tell you right now, because that's the thing that teaches you how to get the repeatable sales. And I can't emphasize enough. And the reason why I'm harping on it so much, I see so many products sitting on the shelf because people don't understand. They didn't do this demand validation. They built something maybe somebody can use, but since they didn't get all the customer forces, they didn't get all the jobs to be done, the hiring and firing criteria, they didn't do the solution design, so they don't know how to package what they have to get people to switch from what they're already using to what they have. They don't have the right information to go on their web page, because all the customer forces, jobs to be done, that's the stuff that goes on your web page to get somebody to switch, or your landing page to get somebody to switch. We take too many things for granted. So let's start from scratch. So you do your broad match interviews. You have 9 questions, and they're not about your product or service. They're all about the psychology, learning the psychology of what it took for the person to switch from what they were already using to what they bought, and what problems they have with what they bought. And so if your solution don't have the problem that they're still struggling with it, you're not going to be able to sell them, because they're just not going to switch to another product that still doesn't fill the gaps that they already have. So these broad match interviews, that just means a lot of customer segments. Narrow match means you're focusing on the results of your broad match to focus on a narrow customer segment, and you go back and do those same interviews again. From that, you get all your customer forces, jobs to be done, and hiring and firing criteria, and then you use all that information to get your 5P matrix, and that's how you package your product or service to know you have all the requirements from your broad and your problem discovery interviews. So if they've heard of another program that teaches you how to do it this way, I haven't ever heard about one other founder or any program teaches you how to do these interviews to generate the customer forces. So you're literally trying to learn what it takes a person to switch. Now, after you have your 5P matrix, that's stuff like packaging, problems, all that stuff, and then from that you have the information to do your sales pitch. In Lean Stack they call it a mafia offer the person can't refuse, and then you go out and pitch that mafia offer, see what kind of response you get back. You may have to tweak it and optimize a little bit, but you use your customer factory template, and we have the templates for those as well. You fill those out manually to see how many people you get in that sales funnel each week, and how many people are actually making it through the factory to kind of get done there, and then if your sales pitch converts, you're on the right track. If your sales pitch doesn't convert, you go back and do your problem discovery again. But if it doesn't seem like it's going to work at all, you have to decide whether you're going to pivot, persevere, or pause. So we're here to help you move forward. So take it or leave it. We've been here for 6 years. We always trying to make ourselves available to support what we're doing. We got all these AI tools and prompts that speed up your process, speed up your learning, and so and you're welcome. You're welcome. We're here to help you move forward. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. We got Robin, a female founder that's going to be on next week, and so we'll learn about her journey, and looking forward to that. And if you know of a founder or somebody who wants to share their journey, we'll be glad to have you on to share your story, and so you can inspire others to kind of move forward. Take care, you all. We'll see you all next week. Hope you all enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out if you got any questions. Bye-bye.